Hello, coders. I'm always dancing to that theme tune, to the intro soon. It's cool. Hope you're well. It is 7:01 in the morning. I've come here early today because I'm super excited about today's stream. I am really excited because we are playing with some interesting toys. Hello, Tyrannid. Thank you for joining. Okay. There's a lot to talk about today. There's a lot to do. Let's get into it. So, where do I start? GraphQL, Gatsby, Symfony, Docker. Have I been a busy boy? Yes, I certainly have. So I may have slipped in a few streams back that I have, or maybe it was, it might have been on the town hall when I was talking about the project to the inner circle. I may have slipped in that I have created some of these APIs previously last year. So in some cases it was a matter of wiring things up. Well, and what am I talking about here? We're talking about the new How to Code Well website. That's what I'm creating. I'm building this new How to Code Well site. And what I've done is, in the previous stream, I showed you that looping over a JSON object and then printing out the courses. Well, I've gone one step further than that. I've wired it into the API that I had created last year, obviously with a bit of tweaks and changes. And yeah, it's using GraphQL. It's running off of Docker. The APIs are in Symfony, and that's what we're going to be working through and developing today. So let's. I'll show you. So on the task list here, this is HTCWP5. This is our create page to show all courses. I'm going to put in a caveat here, free. It's in the free Epic there, but just to make it obvious. Okay, so this is all the stuff that we've done, and this is what I would like to be working on today. I've done this part here. Create an API endpoint for getting the latest courses. Yes, I have. And to prove that, let's go over to Postman. There we go. That is the API response of getting all the courses. So, how did I do that? Well, I suppose if we go over to here, right, so this is the course API. This is what I created last year, right? And it's got a bunch of good stuff in here, loads of entities around the courses and how they're all wired up together. The course has a tutorial has a video, or a course has many tutorials. A tutorial can have a video, I should say. A video has a video source because I want to be sourcing it from other places, not just YouTube. There's also things in here about subscriptions, images, obviously, external courses, featured courses, authors. I'll be talking about a lot of those soon. Courses have meta as well, and other bits and pieces, and a supplier as well. So there's a lot involved. There's a lot I did last year, which I didn't mention. Sneaky. Okay, so how does this all get wired up? Because this is the composer file. Well, I've been umming and ahhing a lot about how I wire this into Gatsby, because essentially what I'm doing here is building a series of microservices. And these microservices are going to have their own APIs. So we'll have a service for the course, we'll have a service for user management, we'll have a service for subscriptions. There may even be a queue underneath of all of these things to help communicate between various different bits and pieces. One of the missing pieces of the puzzle, obviously, is a content management system. I haven't got that yet. So that's something that we'll definitely be building on stream, I think, later, not now. Right. So what I did is I created a gateway. Can you see this? Networks gateway external is true. So I think if I can go over to the gateway here, new window, I'll show you. It's very, I don't see, calling it a gateway is really sort of, it's not right, because a gateway, an API gateway, has a little bit more than just a reverse proxy, just a little bit. But at the moment, this is it. Essentially, this is it. So it's going to, this is the server name that I've got running here, and then this is the container in Docker that everything goes from courses to the course API. That's how I've wired it up. Now, eventually, there will be obviously authentication, and there'll be far more security. It'll be much harder. It'll be hardened. So the idea is that I want Gatsby to talk to the gateway, and the gateway to then work out what Gatsby is trying to say, and then go to the relevant containers. I've just been asked in the Twitch in the chat by Tyrannid, what is Ghost used for? Okay, so as I mentioned, microservices. Ghost is one of those services. Ghost is going to be used for the blog. This API is going to be used specifically just for the course. This is the course API. It's got nothing to do with the blog. It is itself its own separate thing. And I'll talk about how I've wired that up, because I created a Gatsby plugin. Like, talking about it now, it's like, how much work have I managed to get done in the evenings? This is nuts. Although I should say the API was built last year. That took a long I took I took a week or so off of work just to build the APIs. So anyway, let's get cracking. Let's get back. Let's get into the terminal. That's what we need. So the terminal here, can you see on this window here, we've got 3 containers running. The first one is Nginx. This is the gateway, right? The second one is MySQL. This is the database for the course API. And then the third one is the course itself. So they're running in different projects. The gateway and the course API are running in totally different projects. That's why we have set up a bridge network. So we've got on the gateway, we have a network called How to Code Well, and that's running off of a bridge. And then in course API, we have we're running off of the gateway How to Code Well, because the gateway is the service that we're using that has the How to Code Well network, and it's external equals true, and we just put that in like so. And that means that they can both talk to each other. They can talk to each other. Which is nice. It actually took me a long time to work out how to do that. Just putting in those lines. So that's cool. Which means that I can spin it up from both the gateway and the course API. Anyway, Gatsby itself is not in Docker, I should say. There's no need. There's no need to put Gatsby in Docker. And again, I was having a right debate with myself about doing this. Should it go into Docker? I'm going to just turn the music down a wee bit, because it's... There we go. I hope that's okay. So, because Gatsby builds a static HTML website, there is no need for it to be anywhere. It's just a bunch of files at the end of the day. Once you've done the build, obviously you need to have NPM and all the other bits and pieces for Gatsby to build itself, but once it's been built, it doesn't need to be on Docker at all. It just needs to be on a web server and running off of port 80 or on 443. So there's no great shakes there. In fact, once Gatsby is built, I can, if I wanted to, which I probably will, to be honest, remove the containers for the API and the database and the gateway, because they're only there to help build Gatsby, once Gatsby's built. And I could even remove Ghost as well. So where is Ghost in all of this? Well, Ghost is actually, I've got Ghost actually running off of a website on the public internet in Docker itself. So I will be bringing it into here at some point and having it as a suite. This is the How to Code Well platform. It's slowly being built. Okay. All right. So let's get into the code. That was enough talking. Let's get into the code. So what I'm going to do here is I'll take it from the Gatsby's point of view. So if we go to course index, this is essentially what we had last time, where we had a course card and we were mapping it. The difference here is that it's coming from a very different place. The place it's coming from is GraphQL. Can you see this? This is the GraphQL query, or How to Code Well course, and this is the structure, and you can get the relationships as well. The API, I should say, is running JSON API schema. That's why it might look a little bit funny here. Okay, so then once that's done, we then loop over the course card as we've done before. So okay, so in order to pull down the How to Code Well API on build, what I've needed to do is created a Gatsby plugin, which is Gatsby plugin How to Code Well course. Obviously, there will be another plugin for the different endpoints that I use, or different APIs, I should say. So this requires a node fetch and query string. I've literally just gone through the tutorial on the Gatsby site, and on here, what we're doing is we're setting up a way of fetching all of the course bits and pieces from this API endpoint. So it's filtering on everything that is active, and then what it's doing is it's doing a fetch off of that API URL, and then it's processing the course and creating the node for GraphQL, which means that I think if I was to, I need to spin this up. I haven't spun it up this morning. Once I've spun it up, I can show you in GraphQL IQ, I think it is. It's the fancy Chrome extension. Anyway, enough of that. Let's just run it. So Gatsby develop. Now because it's having to fetch from multiple sources, it does take just a little bit longer. So what it's doing here, can you see all of these things? Is it's pulling all of the courses from that API. These are the UUIDs for the course. Okay, so then it's built, and now I can see it here. So if I go to this URL, let's go into Chrome. Sorry, wrong window. Okay, so that's the home page. It doesn't look great at all, does it? It's horrible. But if I go to course, these are the courses, and these are coming from the API. If I bring it in a little bit so we can get through on a page. I'm still, like I said, I'm not a designer one bit. I'm not a designer, but these are all of the How to Code Well courses that are free, quote unquote free. I think there's 16 here. These are all on YouTube. Now, they themselves need to have a page, and we haven't got that far yet. But that's probably for another stream to do the actual individual course pages. At the moment, I'm just working on the course catalog. So there's a couple of things to note here. First of all, the tutorials have, some of them at least, have 0 tutorials, and the duration is 0. These have 3, that has 11. This is because some of these are all have all been created, and some of these haven't. So, for example, all of the courses have been added in, but not all of the tutorials have been added in. Now, how on earth have I been doing this? Well, in the in the API, so go to that project. In the API, what I've got is a bunch of data fixtures, a huge amount of data fixtures. So we're running off of the doctrine fixtures, data fixtures, I should say. And essentially, it's a massive multi-dimensional array of each of the courses themselves, and we loop through. There's loads of them. We loop through and we create the entities, and then we persist those into the database. And then afterwards we do a flush. Because we're running Doctrine, what we can do is after we've dealt with a entity, we can then assign it to a reference, which means that on the next fixture. So for example, this is the course fixture. Once the course fixture is in, we can do the tutorial fixtures, and the tutorial fixtures will get the references from what has been previously stored. So here we're setting the course against the tutorial, and we know what the course is. Now, as you can probably guess, right, there's far more tutorials, far more data about the tutorials than there are about the course, because there's obviously there is n amount of tutorials to a course. So what I've done is I've created a file for every single course, for the tutorials for every single course. So here we have these, and now these are the references that Doctrine is aware of. And what we're doing here is we're getting the course data from the particular file, and then we're looping through that file and pulling out the data. So it's a little bit convoluted, but it means that in config courses, I can now click on one of these, and it's just the array for that specific course. This is how I'm getting around the fact of not having a content management system. It's very Dark Ages. It's very sort of medieval, but I'm trying to avoid having to use a CMS as much as I possibly can. Obviously, once there'll be user interactions, I'm going to need a content management system because I'm going to need to manage the users. But for just setting it up for the MVP, I don't think there's a need for it just yet. So all of these values are all hard-coded. What I do is let's bring up another window here. What I do is I do docker exec, go into the container, which is the Symfony container. If I did a bin console, I should be able to run the Symfony console, which is here. Now there's about a bunch of stuff in here that I could use to manipulate the database, such as running the migrations, doing the fixtures. I think there's one here. Fixtures, dropping the database, and yeah, fixture load. So there's a bunch of stuff that I need to do. In fact, I've actually created myself a bash command which does all of this. So in one single command, I drop the database, I create the database, I then run the migrations to update the database schema based on what I've, the migrations, the SQL migration, the schema migrations, blah, 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 blah. And then I run the fixtures, right? So in one file swoop, if I did it clear here, if I did bin db update, if I ran that, it will drop the database, create the database, run through all the migration files, and then run all the fixtures. So it's now cleaned. A question in the chat. So you have Docker for Symfony, a CMS, Docker for Gatsby, and Docker for Ghost. So I've got Docker for Ghost, yes. I've got Docker for the API, yes. Docker for the MySQL API as well, for the database. I haven't done the CMS yet. I haven't built that yet. So I will be doing that, and that will be a container. But the CMS is something that I'm trying to avoid at this present second around the MVP. Soon I will definitely need to have a content management system, but right now I'm just trying to play with the front end. So there. So this is a bit creaky because any change that I do, any little change that I do on the actual say for example I want to change the title of one of these courses, I need to rebuild the whole database. That's pretty bad. Yes, the API and the CMS will be different. Yeah, they'll be totally separate pieces of infrastructure. So you'll have the API layer, right, which is just the Symfony API, and then you'll have the CMS which connects to the API. Essentially, it's going to be using the you know how you can connect to the database through Doctrine? It's going to be doing that, but kind of through the API, right? So essentially, the CMS is another front end to the data, and the data is fetched through the API. And it might sound like a lot of work, but I'm trying to convince myself that the CMS in its rawest form is a series of forms with gets and posts requests, with the beauty of doing all of this in Gatsby is that once the site is built, I can just tear down the content management system and the API. There's no need for that because the site's built in a static manner. Yes, that's correct. Yes, so the CMS calls the API to do stuff. So for instance, there'll be the CMS and it'll have the, I'll click on a page where I click on a particular course, and the course will have its, a form with the title and the subtitle, basically all of this stuff really, and then a big submit button. And the submit button will just fire this to the API, and then that will update the MySQL. And I may even have a trigger that once that happens, it then pushes a rebuild of the Gatsby site. But again, the CMS is a project to do later on, because I don't want to spend a lot of time fiddling around with the CMS when I want to be getting this out the door. Because the thing is, right, as I've mentioned, I could deal with all of the fixtures and create the API and so forth without the CMS. I'll definitely come to a point where I need a CMS. So for instance here, right, we've got, let's go and add something. So here we've done all of these courses. Let's pick on one. Let's pick on one that I think is going to be relatively light. So let's do this one, PHP Array Basic. I think that's just got 7 tutorials in, maybe. So I essentially want to create a file in here for that and list all of the tutorials. I then want to do a rebuild of the Doctrine fixtures, dropping the database, creating the database, running the migrations, adding the fixtures, and then what I need to do is run a rebuild of Gatsby to then pull that new data from the API. And then hopefully that number will increase. So, okay, the first thing I need to do then, because if we go back to the task list, one of the tasks is to create all the tutorial fixtures. So there's a lot to do for that to happen. I won't do all of them on the stream because this is just going to bore the hell out of people. So I'll once I've done one, I'll probably work on this duration thing because that's an interesting challenge. And I'll talk about that afterwards. So what I want to do is I want to find the if I go to course fixture, up here there is that particular name. it's PHP strings. Is it strings? It's array. I thought it was array. Did it Linux? Let's have a look for array. Here we go, PHP Array. Okay, so what's happening here is that's generating the entity data for that particular course. And what I want to do is create a file of tutorials for that course. And I link the course together using the reference here. So this is course underscore and then the slug. So in this case, in the arrays case, it will be course underscore and the slug will be php-array. So what I could do is I could create another file and call it course PHP array, like this. Something I should also mention is that once I start working on, because the API is there are, if I go to the course controller, I've already added mechanisms for editing the course as well. So there is a way of editing. The API has already been. What I'm trying to say is the API has already been built for the course to be edited, modified. I just need to get on and build that CMS, but I'm not seeing it as a high priority right now. But what I'm saying is, once I start using that, I have to stop using these fixtures because there's going to be too many. I can't synchronize between the two. So doing it like this, in my opinion, is a good middle ground at the moment. If you think I've only got 16 courses, right? I've only got 16 courses, and in each of these courses is probably between 5 and 30 tutorials. So yes, there's going to be a lot of data that I have to hard code, but once it's done, it's done. And I don't think I'm going to be adding more than 5 courses to this in the next sort of year. So I could probably continue on using these crazy arrays for a while. VTCN has said, wouldn't it be easiest to create a YouTube playlist and then use YouTube to import the API? Yes. So this is how I used to do it on the current How to Code Well website. It was working okay until they changed the API, and then everything broke. And the API I wrote was in Python at the time. For some reason, I decided to do it in Python. The reason why I don't want to do it this time is that, as Tyrannid has mentioned, A, it will not always be YouTube. And B, I want to add my own fluff around it, right? I want to add my own thing around it. So, for instance, I want to have. I don't really want to talk about it at the moment, but there's different model. I've got plans, and I can't center these plans specifically around YouTube. And I think if YouTube was the center of this universe, it would look quite different, and I would be probably forced into areas that I wouldn't like in terms of the data structures and stuff like that. Is that a diplomatic answer? Yes, yeah, and I mean, one thing just as a quick sort of thing, we mentioned in the previous stream that the design looks terrible and awful, and someone mentioned that the first thing a designer would do is probably design the thumbnails differently. So this means that there's already a diversion from what's on YouTube and what's on the courses site. So as soon as you start diverting away from the raw material, then you start getting into difficulties when you're trying to synchronize bits and pieces. So yeah, and also the playlists. The playlists on YouTube are weird because they're not ordered in the right way, because the YouTube orders them in a very, very different way to how I would like them to be. Yeah, I think what I would have to do is pull it from YouTube and then sort of like push it into my database and then convert the values into what I want. And I think that would just be tricky. And as I mentioned, there's only 16 of them, so... And they're done already. You know, the courses are added anyway, so there's that. Anyway, I'm trying to argue with myself as to why I'm doing this. It's a good question, though. It's always good to keep questioning your reasoning. Okay. I need some tea. So I'm dealing with the PHP Array jobby, aren't I? This one here. So we need to look that up off of YouTube. I'll just bring it down here just so I can play with it. Because I don't want... Shush. No, I don't want that. Let me try and find that. PHP. Nope. Can I search through my own channel? Do you give that ability, YouTube? There must... Aha, there we go. I just need to increase the... So, PHP Array. There we go. PHP Array. So there is 1, 2. Come on, there's more than 2. I'm sure there's more than 2 tutorials for this. See what I mean? It's a little bit, it's a bit painful sometimes. Let's open that up and quickly pause the thing. No, I don't have that. Oh, that's frustrating. Alright, I'm going to have to hunt down this playlist. There's no way of searching through a playlist unless you're logged into PHP tutorials. Full playlist. Unless I'm logged into the studio, and I don't want to do that. And welcome to another... Shush. So, they're the OOP jobbies. Okay, so we've got 1, 2. Maybe there was only 2 for this. Well, the beauty of doing it like this means that I can update it in the future. So, okay. Let's choose you and also choose you. So I need to quickly pause these videos. Shush, and this one as well. Shush, there we go. Okay, so this one here is the PHP Array Basics, so we'll copy that. We'll put this into here, like so. There's only 2, so I can get rid of all of this stuff. For now, I mean, once I have the CMS, I will be definitely curating these a little bit more better, right? You know, but for now, just to have content in. Okay, and the duration of this one is 6 minutes 43. Cool. I'm not worried about the views. I think there's what, 1,930, something like that. Let's just put that in. 1,930. Video source is YouTube. This could be somewhere else. The course itself is refactor rename. this one here. The important thing is getting the external ID. So the external ID is share, copy that. It's that last bit there. Yeah, so the view numbers aren't actually used in this. I've only put it in there because, I mean, this could just be one. Yeah, I think that eventually, once I have the CMS in place, I will probably have integration into the YouTube API to pull specific parts based on the course, based on the video. But I'll be doing it from a video's perspective, not from a course's perspective. Okay, so the image is I think if I can find course controller, not controller, sorry, the course fix. No, I'm in the wrong place. It is in data fixtures, course fixture. This is what I need, this string here. I mean, I appreciate that this looks very laborious, but this is the compromise. This is a compromise, right? This is a compromise. This is like, you know, I needed to have a real hard think about how to do this, and I could spend a year building a content management system and not have a front end for it. You know, not actually have something to show. This is me trying to go, okay, what's the MVP? Well, I want to get this out the door as quickly as possible. What's the easiest way to do it? And the compromise is to build an array of the things that I want, with the plan for replacing this eventually in the background once the shiny toy is out. So it is a massive compromise, and I do appreciate this, but this is the thing I talk to clients about all of the time, because when they say, oh, we want this and this, you know, they want a moon on a stick. They want all the things all at once, and it's like, whoa. We could spend a month, you know, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, however long you want, on a content management system, and I won't be able to do you a front end, you know, an actual public-facing website. But we'll have the data schemas done. We'll have the CMS built, everything running, you know, for it. But we just won't have the actual product. And to be honest, if you're being super brutal, the end user, the customer, the student who will be watching my videos off of this website will not give a flying monkeys what content management system I use. Or even if I have one. So with that in mind, I decided that, hey, what are the things that I can drop quickly and not have to worry about and focus my time on? And it was the CMS. But as soon as you do that, you then start having to compromise with things. So, you know, as long as this doesn't take a load of time, and you know what, I know that in clients that I've had before, it will be like it's like, I'll just give you an array or a JSON and just hire a temp in to just fill out the blanks, just do all this. I'm not following you, VTCN. Or sorry, Vatican. I'm not following you. Learn the basics of a PHP array. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I fear that I'm gonna get like, why are you doing blah 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 blah? And it's like, well, I have a plan. I have a plan. Okay, so the next one here is going to be which one's this one? Let's scroll up to here. That's object orientated. That's not the one I want. It is, that's the array basics. It is the reindex jobby. Again, very dirty of me, but I will copy all of this and put it in. And I guess really this becomes very sort of medial noddy work. You know, it's like you're copying from one thing. This might as well just be a spreadsheet, to be honest. And you could, when you start looking at like this, you could then go, well, I'll just hire an intern or a temp or someone who has no knowledge whatsoever of PHP at all and doesn't need to, and just do this and just fill all this out. Just build us the data. And then we'll work out how to manipulate it later on. That's the description, isn't it? It's not the synopsis. Yes, yeah. Well, the API is built, you see. The API is done. It's the CMS that hasn't been done. This needs to be the slug, which is PHP. This is just populating the data for the database. PHP reindex. And get the essentially, right, what will happen is that, well, if it plays out in my head as I want it to play out in my head, is that there'll be like, it'll go live, and then for the next, I don't know, year, I'll be working on the back end, and nobody will know anything. They'll be like from the front end's perspective, there won't be any kind of like changes, but there will be big changes in the background. Obviously, there'll be changes in the front end, just sort of like, you know, upping the features and stuff, but this is the kind of stuff that I do on a nice sort of Sunday afternoon. You know, it's sort of like I have a bit of have a drink and just sit back, watch a bit of telly, have this on my lap on the laptop, and just input data. 529. Okay, all right, that's done. I will also put in the I'll leave all that. All right, and the dates need to be changed and whatever. But the idea is just to get something out of the door, just to demonstrate how I'm doing all of this. So if I go to if I go back up to, we can get rid of that one, and go here. So the one we're working on, let's just bring it back to 3, is this one. And where it says 0 tutorials, we want this to go up to 2, essentially. So I'm going to rebuild this. Okay, so that's all built. And then up here, what I need to do is rebuild the Gatsby site. So this is going to be pulling in all of that stuff, which it has done, and also all of the Ghost stuff as well. This is a great example of like how complicated websites can be, right? This is like, there's so many moving parts. So, okay, let's refresh. Okay, why is it still got 2? That's not right. Have I linked it correctly? I might have to go into the database. Oh, I know why I haven't done it. I know why. What a moron. I need to tell it to use that file. Silly me. Whoops. Silly me. So I need to, and this is highlighting a risk of doing it like this, because it is you're risking a lot of human error around the data of this stuff. Whereas if you had a CMS, of course, you could see it straight away as what's wrong. The problem here is that in my data fixtures, in my tutorial fixture jobby, I need to add this as an index, or as a value, because what it's doing is it's looping through all of the courses and then pulling that out. So it didn't actually do anything. It just rebuilt the database as it was. Let's try it again. Now, eventually what I'll do is I'll, once things start getting a little bit close to pushing it, and also when things start getting a little bit more complicated, one thing I'll start doing is when I do the pushes, when I do the rebuilds of the database, I'll be doing a backup, and I'll be putting that backup somewhere before I do the drop. I would love to have all of these sort of processes in place before I push this live, because the danger here, of course, is it drops the database before it even considers doing the fixtures, the fixtures, and it has to drop the database because it has to run the migrations. So you've already killed the database before you've actually tested that your stuff actually works. So it's a little bit scary. Did I run that? Let's do it again. So it is a little bit fragile. I do appreciate that. Once this runs, what I'll do is I'll show you this in GraphQL. Okay, so that's pushed, and if I was to refresh, where did it go? 2 tutorials. There, woohoo! All of that just for 2. Now, obviously, we haven't got the page set up, so when you click on this, it doesn't go anywhere. But I'm hoping that we will get to that point very soon once I have all the tutorials added, and we'll be able to work through the actual course page. So, okay, let's take a look at some GraphQL, shall we? So up here it says I can use the GraphIQL, right? So I'm going to bring that up into there. Okay, let's bring it out a little bit. Okay, can you see here we've got the How to Code Well course, right? So if I was to run this, we can get the idea of the first one. There is another one that has been added, which is, if I can find it, this one, All How to Code Well course. So this one will retrieve a single course based on the ID. So for example, it will pull back the attributes, say content, the title, and maybe, I don't know, the slug, for instance. If I was to run that, it will get that course here, the Docker machine course. But if I wanted to get all of them, let's bring that back up. If I go to here, all course, what I can do is I can go through edges and get the nodes. So if I run that now, we can get all of the IDs for all of the courses. And if I was to go to attributes, remember this is a JSON API schema, so we then go through attributes, then we've got the title, we can see the content, and what else shall we do? The slug. So then let's press play on that. We can get all of the courses. Now, if I wanted to, I could also filter this. So I could do filter, and let's filter it by an attribute. Let's say I want to filter all active. That is true. And then I run that, and that will get me all of the active courses. I think there is there a course that I've done that no. So all of the courses are active. But if I wanted to deactivate a course, this is how I would filter it out. In fact, I think if I remember rightly, last night I did on the Gatsby site in the node here. I am running filter active equals 1, so it is going to return all the ones that are active. Cool. So yeah, I mean it's a bit long-winded, right? To get this page running. But and this is why you can see that my design I haven't really spent a lot of time on it, because I'm not a designer, and B, I'm more interested in getting the actual things to come out and display. I'll worry about the display, how it's displayed, once I've got the things to display. Yeah. Okay, so this is the actual API. So this is running it off of raw, a raw request. So this up here, I've got some environment variables for these things. And if I was to run a particular, say, course that was off of this particular ID, then I would do so like this. Okay, so that's oops. No, I think I need to have courses on there. But anyway, let's not do that, because that's going to expose some bits. Was it? There we go. Yeah. There we go. So you can have your change your page numbers and stuff. So there is already a mechanism in here for pagination, which I need to build into Gatsby, obviously, because there is a task that I would like to do, which is the add pagination. But the thing I want to work on in the last hour of this is it's really the durations, because this is an interesting challenge. The way I've set this up, and this is going back to why I haven't used YouTube as an API. When I was thinking about the schema of the database, I was thinking about, because at the time there was various companies wondering if I would like to write a book on programming. And it's quite a big challenge to write a book. I would love to write a book, but I was thinking about writing a book in the sense of a video, as in, like, what is the difference between video courses and a book? Because essentially a book and a course can be, from a high level, it's quite similar in the sense that a book has chapters and a course has tutorials. So where am I going with this? So with the schema, I tried to create it in a way that didn't center itself on video. So a course has a tutorial, but a course could also have other things. A good so Vaxian is saying a good course would be to show how you built this website. Well, I guess this is what I'm doing on the stream, right? So with the schema here, with the entities, so we've got a course, and the course has a series of tutorials, right? But there's also packages, and the tutorial itself has if I go down to has the ability to have a video, but the video isn't. It's not. What I'm saying is, it's not centered on the video. There's also an author as well. The video itself has a video source, which means that it could come from other places, not just YouTube, which is great because this means that I've now decoupled myself from YouTube because we've got a video source, which is here. But I tried to structure it in a way that maybe a course could have a tutorial which isn't a video, which could be perhaps a chapter in a book, you know? So that's kind of why I tried to distance myself from the YouTube API specifically for this part of this project, because I was trying to think. I drew all this out on big pieces of paper. You know, like the ERD and how the data relates to each other, and you know, what is a tutorial, what is a course, those kind of questions I was asking. And then we have suppliers, right? So the supplier, so this is going to the next level above. A supplier, in my sense, is How to Code Well. I am supplying these courses. This means that there is the possibility in the future of having another supplier. So for example, if I was to take on someone else's tutorials, I could then put them as a supplier. So there's many levels, right? And you might think, well, you've gone and over abstracted this to the nth degree, but I think that it's okay to do it for the data structure, not for the actual individual code and how the code is going to be wired together. So and I think that this is a good balance as to, you know, I could go even further, but I think this is a good place to draw the line and go, right, we have the ability to have multiple suppliers. At the moment there's only one, which is How to Code Well. There's ability to have different courses, and those courses could have various different authors. At the moment there's only myself, but maybe there could be others in the future. And then we've got a course could have a tutorial, and the tutorial doesn't have to be a video. If it is a video, then it has a video source. So where that's come from. And yeah, this took me a long time to get right in my head and on paper, and I've got lots of notebooks about, you know, all of this stuff. So it's crazy, right? Now, with that being said, I want to get the duration working. This is the add duration add duration to tutorials and calculate the total tutorial duration and save to a course. So, with that being said, that a course might not be a video, right? It could be something else. Then the duration could be seen as, if it was a book, then it could be the amount of time you need to take to read it. You know how on some of the blog posts you have, the time it takes to read. So read in such and such a minute. You also have this on the Kindle. So that kind of thing. So with video, you've got duration, I think, on here. I'm having to refresh my memory because I did this like last year. Yeah, duration. On the course, there isn't a... There's a duration here. Is there a duration? I thought there wasn't. Yeah, there is duration. So does that mean that I'm missing a getters or setters? No, they're all there. Okay, so we have set duration. Right, okay, so we have set duration. So the course has a separate duration to the tutorials. What I want to do is try and merge them to be, so it goes through all the tutorials in the course, gets the durations, and then creates a sum of that. That's what I want to do. Vatican has said something that Pluralsight is doing is adding technical challenges to the end of lessons. Yes.
Hello, coders.
Hey, Robo J, thank you for joining. Hello, hello. Yeah, so I've done courses for Manning and Pact, and there are lots of challenges in those. So like with Manning for the Docker in Motion course that I've done, after every module, so they call it modules and stuff, after every module there is a challenge, which is like an exercise to prove your learning, and that happens, a similar thing happens with Pact as well. It's something that I would like to do. Yeah. Okay, so we've got this course, this set duration here. I'm a bit puzzled as to why. Maybe it just wasn't being updated. Let me see. Because if we go to here, the durations are 0. So why is that? Let's just take it from the front end first. Let's work our way from the front end to the back. That's too far forward. That's the gateway. We want to go to here. So what we're doing in course card, have I not put the content in the attributes here? No, I haven't. Silly me. I'll just quickly do that because that's gonna. Okay, so duration, here we are, attributes duration. So it's coming from here. So if I was to run this through let's do it through GraphQL. So I would like to get all of the data. I would like to get all of the courses, but I would like to focus on the duration. So let's just get the duration and the ID. Duration is 0, so they're all set to 0. That's the problem. Okay, fine. Are they set to 0 in the actual? Let's go to the back end then. Are they set to 0 through the fixtures? If we go to course fixture, here we go. Yes, they are set to 0. Gotcha. Okay, so they are being set. Okay, how would I do that? Essentially what I need to do is after the fixture is ran, I need to go to loop through all of the videos within the tutorials, because the tutorials don't have let's see, tutorials, courses. No, yes, they have, yes, they've got. So now I'm getting myself really confused. I might have to look at the database. Let's come out of that. Alright, I've got it down there, haven't I? Docker exec -it. We're going into here. What? Oh, I can't spell my own website. There we go. Describe tutorial. So we've got video, author, slug, active. So we don't actually have a duration on the tutorial, and yet the duration is on here. This is why I'm getting confused. I think that gets used for, and you'll have to forgive me because I wrote this a long time ago. I'm having to sort of sort this out in my head. Because there's a video off of the tutorial, when the tutorial gets ran, the set duration here gets set to 2. What am I doing? Seriously? Select all from, or select duration from tutorial. No, it's from video. 2. They're all 2, all of them. Gotcha. Okay, there's the bug. So we're hard coding 2 instead of actually running off of the duration. I see. Now, I've just noticed that this, if I did a describe of video, video is an integer. Duration is an integer, whereas this is a string. So that would be 5 minutes 29. So really, what I need to do is convert that into an actual timestamp. That's what I need to do. Yeah. Okay, so they're all timestamps. So should I A, follow that convention, so they're all timestamps, so that would be 9:51, then convert that into a PHP interval to get the actual seconds, and then push it up. And then once they're all in the videos, I can then loop through the tutorials, get the videos, and then get the timestamps for all of them, sort of make the sum. That's probably best, isn't it? This is a bigger piece of work than I thought. Okay. I'm going to write this down. So we'll do it in this here. So it's not tutorials, it's videos for a start. Okay. Currently, the video duration is hard-coded to 2. In the fixtures, the duration is a string in the format of MM, I think it's SS. And then the task is to convert the string format into a timestamp and save to the video. Gotcha. All right, so how do we approach this this thing? So I'm thinking we'll create a little function in here, but I'm thinking that maybe I'll need to put this somewhere else in a service, but we'll do a public function or protected function, and we'll just say convert date, convert duration. It takes a string, which is the duration. And what it's doing is, it needs to... ah, dear. Tricky stuff. Because it's got the colon in the end, at the end, what I could do is I could do a time is equal to explode duration, like that, because that will return an array where the first section, so we have minutes, is equal to time 0 and seconds is equal to, I hate working on dates, is 1, right? So now we have those pieces. The pieces. I'm gonna have a look at my friend Google. Convert. Now really, another thing I need to do is change the data type of the database. So it is an actual timestamp. I think. Do I need to do that or just a long int? Sorry, I'm thinking how to best do this. That's true. It's not a date time though, is it? Is it a date interval? Because there's no, I'm only working on time. I don't know. Okay, what I want to do is the output here is a timestamp, right? So it's a time. It's a series of integers that represent the amount of time in this video. Okay, I have the minutes and the seconds. So what I need to do mathematically is I need to I'm just thinking like hours. I don't think there's a tutorial that's over an hour. I hope not. So, to get could I just do like hours is equal to no. I don't want to do that. So what I've got is this is probably because I had hardly any tea and it's too early in the morning to deal with this stuff. So duration. The duration comes in as a string where I've got minutes and seconds, and what I want to do is just get a timestamp, and I'm trying to work out whether I need to achieve I need to get the timestamp needs to be in seconds or what have you, or whether it needs to be in a date format. The easiest solution I think is just to convert this into seconds. So I would divide the minutes by 60 to get the amount of seconds within those minutes, and then add the seconds together, if that makes sense, right? So here we would do something like seconds from seconds in minutes, and we would do something like I would have to cast these to integers because these are still strings. Something like seconds in minutes would be something like minutes divided by 60, right? And then what we would do is we would have return seconds in minutes plus seconds, something like that. So then that would get the seconds. Struct to time. Multiply. Good spot. I like the way he went, multiply, multiply. Multiply, goddamn you, multiply, man. Yeah. What am I doing here? That's nuts. There we go. Boom. Did I ever tell you that I failed GCSE maths? So that would get the seconds, right, from that, and then what I could do is in the duration part section, wherever it's gone, here, we can do up here we'll do duration is equal to this convert duration passing in I believe it's data duration, I think. I best go and check that. I think that's correct, but that would be in here, right? Duration, yeah, it is. Yeah. Cool. So then I would equal that to wherever it's gone. Here. Okay. Let's run this and see if it breaks. So we're going to come out of, well, actually, no, I need another window, don't I? I still want the database running. So here, can we do a docker exec? Yeah, there we go. And then I'm going to do a bin, whoopsie. No. Hang on. I'm in the API. Where's the... confused. Yeah, there is a bin. Bin db. There we go. that's too cold for me. Yuck. Fingers crossed it doesn't blow up. Okay, fine. Alright, so now let's go and have a little look and see if we did a select duration from video. Hey! Look at that. But that doesn't look right to me. That doesn't look right to me at all. That looks too low. This is supposed to be... This is supposed to be all the seconds in the video. Let's pick on one. And see. Let's pick on one. Let's go... Whoops, don't want to run that command. I want to do select ID and duration. Okay, so... This is a problem with these UUIDs. Select title. Okay, here we go. How to sort a file. This is in the Linux jobby. Let's see if I can find something that I can... Alright, let's copy that. Go into YouTube's. There we go. Okay, how to sort a file is 6 minutes 19 seconds long. I have here 532. Let me just see. Hmm. According to this, it's 8 minutes and 86. So that's too high. That's not right, is it? No. Okay. That's that I'm gonna have to think about that. I think because it's not good. There's an error. However, we could, if we wanted to, move on to I can't get my tabs right. Here we go. Calculate the total number of tutorial durations for and save to the course. So this is where the course has its does convert duration get the right duration? Yeah, let's see. Let's focus on that for a second. It's just the one thing, and then, well, I'll tell you what I could do is just run this, and then I could just kill the execution of the whole thing. So if I did that up here, and then hit die, so it's not going to do any saving. And up here, then run the script again. Hopefully it will just fail out at that point. Right, 23 and 48. It landed on 23 and 48. 23 and 48 would have gone to, would be the first one here. 23 and 48. Yes, it is correct. Yeah. So 23 minutes, 48 seconds. Now 23:48, if we looked at the top one here, this is containers versus images. Let's see if we can find that in here. Containers, hostname. Containers versus images is 14:28. If I was to (23:08), close. Very close. Okay. So they should have been casted to integers, and the integers should be 23 and 48. 23 and 48, yep. So 23 would be the minutes, 48 would be the seconds. So we are saying 23 times by 60 to get the seconds for the minutes. And then here we're saying those minutes then add to the seconds to return the full second, the amount of seconds. Var dump all the things, yes. So that's not actually that far off. There's obviously some, I think I'm missing a floor here. I think. Yeah, I think what I need to do is yeah, it's close, but it's not 23:08. It's 23:48. Tell you what, let's just output everything, yeah. So minutes, seconds in minutes. And then output. All right. Um, so 1428 is the end goal. 1380 is the double. That double would have been seconds and minutes. And then, yeah, 23 times, which I'm doing, plus 48, not 23.8. That's what I'm doing, isn't it? Minute, so 23 times 60, because the first one here is, if I can find my output again, here we go. So the first one is 23 times by 60, which is here, so 23 times by 60, plus 48, which is seconds and minutes plus 48. So I could do like plus 48 here. And that would be our output, essentially. Let's not put the floor in. Yay, the music's locked up. I'm not multiplying 23.8. I'm multiplying 23 because 23 is the minutes, which is coming off of the first index. Where's the music gone? Has that just... 1428 and 1428. Has the internet just dropped? Oh dear. I think the internet may have just died. 1428. We want to convert minutes to seconds. Here we go. 23. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think the internet has literally dropped. That's weird. Okay. I think I'm going to have to think about this. It's a little off, and I'm unsure why. But I'm rubbish at math, as you can probably tell. Let's put that in. So let's run this again, and that should update. Yes, that is correct, Tyranid. Yes, I think what I'm doing is having a little bit of madness. think I'm having a little bit of madness. Let's continue, shall we? Yay, as the music's come back on. Hi, my name's Pete, and I'll solve problems even if they're not problems. Or at least attempt to. Anyway. So, what I'm going to do is work through, if I can find the right tab now. Yes, this one here. So calculate the total duration of the course itself. So now we've added the duration for the video. What I need to do is, when we get to the course, there is a duration. Now the challenge with this is that the course gets, because of the way the fixtures work, you need to have a course in order to have a tutorial. So you need to set the course to have a duration of 0 first, and then you add the tutorials to the course, because the way the fixtures work is it uses the doctrine references to refer back to the object that has previously been put in memory. So, I might have to create another fixture. Maybe I need a mechanism that will loop through all of the courses, get all of the tutorials for each tutorial in that course, get all of the videos, and then sum all of the durations, and then put that up to the course. Yeah, and going by what I was mentioning earlier, that a course could be, it doesn't have to be a video course, it could be a different type of course. The durations could be coming from various different things, not just videos. It could be posts. So, how does one get around that? So on the course, it's set to 0. So what I would do is I would probably create another fixture that goes after the tutorial is done. Because you can get dependencies, right? So the dependencies of this tutorial fixture is that the course fixtures, the supplier fixture, and the author fixture, these have already been executed. So I could create another fixture and then have the tutorial as a dependency of the fixture. And then what that does is it goes and gets the courses based on the references. Yeah, alright, let's try it. We can try it with like 1 or 2, and then once it's done, so let's do a fixture of course duration. So let's get rid of this and that. I just want one thing just as reference, so get rid of that. Okay, so where we've got this reference, we can do course is equal to, because we're going to need to get the course. Now that will be, let's say, for instance, we want to get the Docker for Beginners course, right? Okay, so that should pull it out of memory if this fixture is the tutorial fixture as a dependency. So now we can do if course is an instance of course, then what we can do is say course get tutorials, and we can loop through the tutorials, so we can do for each as tutorial, and then what we can do is say tutorial get video, get duration, right? So that gets the duration. Then what I'm going to do is create an array of durations and then sum them together. And then persist it against the course, right? So here we would do course. Well, we would do course set duration, right? We don't need that. And then down here we don't need that. We need course persist. I think this might work. I hope this might work. So now we don't need the conversion. Let's change this to be it is course duration fixture. We won't worry about the data for now. If I can get this to work on against this one, then obviously what we'll do is we'll loop through all of the courses. So durations is an array. Well, no, actually it's not an array. We can do this much easier than that, than an array. We can just say duration is equal to 0, and then we could just do duration is equal to duration plus tutorial get video get duration, and then here we do duration set duration and then persist. If this works, then that will solve this problem, the problem of the courses don't have any durations. I just want to double check something. Let's go to the database here a minute. Let's do a describe of course. So we have, I just want to make sure that we do have, yeah, we do have duration. Good. Always good. Okay. Okay, so let's do a controlled test. So let's do a select duration and also title from course. All right, so they're all set to 0. Okay, now down here we're going to run it again. This is where it just falls flat on its face. Why is it taking so long? This always worries me when it sort of hangs and you're dropping databases. Okay, purging the database. Okay, that went through. Okay, so that's our control test. Let's see if we can run it again. Ooh, so that has actually worked. I'm pretty impressed with that. Although that's, to me, that still does look very, very low, a low number. 7,514. Oops. Anyway. Right, so we have the courses here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to loop through these. So for each this data as course reference or ref, and then we'll do that in there. So course ref goes into this one. So now it's going to go through all of the courses. Now there's more than that. So let me think. What we can do is in course fixture. How are the courses built here? They are built, I think they're based on the slug, aren't they? Yeah. So it's course underscore slug.
Impulse season 1 now streaming free.
Okay. So, what I guess I could do on the course is I could do select duration and slug. Okay. So let's work at the top. MySQL console. That would go into not there, here. And then the next one is PHP MySQL. Don't have that yet. Then Jekyll. Then Python control structures. Don't think I've got that yet. Python for beginners. I mean, if I duplicate myself, it's not going to be the end of the world because it will just update the same thing, right? So do I have the PHP OOP? No. Then HTML forms. Then PHP control structures. I think I might have that. PHP control structures. No, that's Python control structures. Then Docker in motion. So, yeah, that's a tricky one. So Docker in motion isn't a free course, obviously. It's not on, so I'll skip that. PHP CLI basics. Got that. PHP strings. PHP strings. Nope. Linux Bash for beginners. Gosh, there's lots of them, isn't there?
Searching for music for your next video?
Yes, I am.
You need to check out.
Right. So, Symfony Services Tutorial 2.8. I don't think I've got that. Course. And what else? Docker for beginners. We've already done that. Docker, have I done that? Docker for beginners? Docker, yes, I have. PHP Array, I think I may have done that. Yes, up there. HTML for beginners, I haven't done that, I don't think. Let's put that in. And Python for beginners as well. I'll check all of these and make sure that the zeros are in the right place for the courses that they are mine, but I've done them for other people. So Python for beginners, have I done that? Python, yes, I have. Okay, is Python for beginners in there twice? No, I thought I saw that twice. Okay, so that now loops through all of these things. So let's see if we can run the command again. Marvelous. Let's run the database again. Brilliant. So Symfony services didn't go in. Actually, not a lot of them went in. Hang on. What's going on here? That's not... why did that not go in? Hang on a minute. Something's not right, is there? Something's not right. Something's not right here. I was kind of expecting all of them to have numbers apart from Docker in motion. Like, for example, the PHP control structures. Here, PHP control structures. Which kind of suggests that this is false. This hasn't been found. Let's do an else. Let's crash out with die. Cannot find course. And we put in course ref. Okay, what's it failing on? It's not. It's not failing on anything. So does this mean then that the PHP, which one was I looking at? The PHP control structures jobby doesn't have, or has tutorials that don't have any durations in. Dear. Let's get the IDs from the course. Marvelous. Let's pick on PHP strings. So let's do select from tutorial. I want to select duration ID and slug from tutorial where course ID is equal to that one there. Duration is not in. Oh, of course not. It's not in the tutorial, it's in the video. Yes. Huh. What? It doesn't seem to be wired up correctly. That's weird. I'm confused here. So the tutorial fixtures should be going through. Oh, some of them haven't been added. That's why. Okay, yeah, this is another non-issue. I haven't added all of the tutorials, and therefore, moron. I haven't added all of the tutorials, and therefore, I don't have all of the durations, and therefore, this is why there are some empty numbers. Okay, so what I'll do is there's a part here where we're dying. I want to throw an exception rather than die. Throw exception. Throw new exception. Throw exception. Okay. Okay, let's just run the whole thing again. I think it's okay, but let's just do it for Belt and Braces' sake. And then up here, what I'll do is I'll rebuild the Gatsby development site after that's done, pulling in all of the data, and then hopefully we should have some numbers being presented to the front page. Now, obviously, those numbers are seconds, not minutes and seconds. So we'll have to do a little bit of fancy pants work with JavaScript in order to convert the seconds into minutes. Okay, so that apparently has gone through. So if I was to do this and refresh, yes, can you see that we got 2040 there, and we've got 8,655 there. Is that the only ones we've got? Oh yeah, this one here, 5,889, and that one there too. I just didn't see. Okay, so once I have all of the tutorials in, where it says 0 tutorials, we'll end up having the durations. Yikes. Okay, so in order to deal with the JavaScript, then let's tidy up the JavaScript. We want to go to the portal. So we're doing everything today. We're doing math, we're doing Docker, we're doing Gatsby, we're doing GraphQL. Yeah, welcome to my world. So here in the duration, what we want to do is make this into a nice looking sort of hours : minutes type affair. So Now, there's a couple of ways to do this in JavaScript. If I can find the tabs. One way is to use moment.js. And then there's another one, isn't there? There's datefm for JavaScript. I'll just see what datefn is like. Okay, so documentation. Time zones, upgrading guide, interval, location, duration, format distance strict, format ISO, is after, is before. These are all good things. Return the earliest given dates, min, interval helpers, timestamp helpers, millisecond helpers, second helpers. Get the seconds of a given date. So if we were to put this in as a date, we can then do get seconds. And then I'm assuming there is get minutes as well. So what I could do is this hour. I could create a date time, sort of a date object in JavaScript, and then apply the minutes and the seconds to that. So with set date. So set date is, and then so that would be like today's date, right? But the things would be the hours and the seconds. I think that might work. Or do I take the other route and say, well, if I've got a number of seconds, then why don't I just divide those seconds by 60, and then that will give me the minutes. So it'll be like 1 point whatever. Maybe not. I really don't like working with dates and stuff. It's not my strongest suit. Not my strongest suit. Let me just think about this for a minute, okay? Let me just think about this. Just throw things on the page just to play with it, all right? So we have seconds, and if we were to look at this, we would have, let's say we have 732, right? So we would have let seconds is equal to 732, okay? Then what we would do is perhaps we would have a new date. So we would do let date is equal to new date, right? Because if I can get away with not using a library just to do this, that would be perfect. However, I'm not holding up much hope. So then what we would do is, date dot, I think there's a set seconds on here. So then we would put in seconds like that. Okay. So let's And then what we could do is use the let format. All right. So we've got the seconds. So now, and we put it in the date. So we should be able to do date dot two. Is there a two? Why is that not picking that up? Date dot set seconds. I think there's a two. To ISO string, right? Let's see what ISO string is. So if I go to JavaScript, ISO, date, ISO, date with an E, ISO string. So date ISO string is an inbuilt function in JavaScript which is used to convert a given date object's contents into a string in ISO format, ISO 8601, i.e. in the format of long year, short month, or long month, sorry, long day, and then the hours, minutes, and seconds. So I only want the last segment, right? I don't want all of this stuff. So I'll show you what I'm reading here, this up here. All right. So I only want that. I don't want all of this or all of that. So with that being said, could I just do two ISO? That's going to return a string. Can I then do a substr and then sort of cut it at various segments? An example that I've got here is to use 11 and 8. And then, oh, that's why I can't see it, because that needs to be date, not data. There we go. Then that would be that would post the format like that, right? Sort of, ish. Right, let's tidy this up because this is having a little bit of a panic. Statement, is that statement unexpected or expected? Statement expected. Format, let format. I think if I was to take that out and then put that sort of here. Seconds, day, yeah, no, that's not going to work. What I kind of need to do is put this into its own little component, I think. Or what I need to do, of course, is create a render function. Thinking about it, let me see if we could. Let's see if I can use something for an example. So on index we have our return, and then I always forget how this is structured, and it's a challenge when you're moving from languages to various things. I always forget like how React deals with these kind of things. So I think what happens is it's okay to take this out of brackets because now we're returning it here. I'm not sure what's going on there. Unresolved variable type of seconds. Well, I'm not. That's not. That should be technically that should be post dot duration. I think no post dot attributes dot duration. I think duration. So that gets rid of that. Let's do a const. Const date is equal to there, and then here we have, hang on, let me go back and refer to this a minute. So, and then on index, what we're doing is results, and then down here we're looping over the results. So here we've got the unexpected token. What have I done wrong? Expression expected. Hang on. I don't think I've got my brackets in the right order. Yes, I haven't. I think I need to put in the course card. Yeah, so there's that. There needs to be... yes, it's a... yes. So it's no longer that. It is... gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. And then this is probably a fix indent issue. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so then that's, so let's tidy this up. So this is date, this is duration format. Duration format. Passing it into there. Okay. Enough fiddling about. Let's see if we can rebuild this and see if it well, it's already rebuilt apparently. Let's see if it does its thing. Let's go over to here. Refresh. Oh, look, it is. Yes. However, that isn't right. No, hang on. Is it right? No, it's not right. That's saying 11 hours, 12 minutes and 14 seconds. That certainly isn't right. That's saying 9 hours and 41. That really should be 9 minutes 41. That should be 11 minutes, I think. No, that's not right. There's something fundamentally flawed with these calculations, I think. Or at least the way they're being displayed, because this is not right one bit. That's not 11 minutes. That 11 tutorials, that's not 11 minutes and 12. That's not 11 minutes 12 seconds. It's neither is that 11 hours. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to have a little look at this and see how these are wired up. There's no common. There's 907 there, and 907, and this doesn't have any tutorials, so that's very confusing. Why does the Python control structures have times? In fact, why do all of these have times? 907, 907, 907. Is it because? Is it because if you pass in nothing in here, it's running off of the current date? Oh my word! Yes, it could be that. Let's see. Let's see. I might be, because what I could be doing is adding the. If we did null here, let's see. Does that change anything? Yes, 0, 0, 0, 2 hours and 24 minutes 15 seconds. That's more sensible, isn't it? 2 hours and 5. That's better. 34 minutes, that makes more sense. Yes, so there we go. 1 hour and 38 for that course, 2 hours and 5 for that one. Yeah, that's fine. So just to recap, the problem there is I didn't put null in, and what that's doing is it's running off of the current. Without null, it's running off of the current date. So if I was to refresh here again, you can see that it's running off of the current date stuff, so we don't want that. Easily missed there. So yeah, cool. Okay, I can now put. Where is the here? I can now mark this one. Sorry, this one here. To done. And I can now mark calculate this one to done as well. Awesome. I will push these up as well to my branch. So create all the tutorial fixtures. That's going to take a long time, and I'll probably do that sort of off stream. It's just me fiddling around with those big arrays. Add pagination, that's the next thing to tackle. And I think what I'm going to do is probably have it so it's going to be, well, there's what, 16 tutorials here. I think what I might do is have it so it's 10 a page, something like that, or 9 a page. So 3, 6, and then 9. So then this one, and then this one, and that one goes on to page 2. So 9 a page, I reckon. I can fiddle around with. I want to, obviously, whatever I do, I want to make it so I can fiddle around with the numbers of records per page and various other bits. Right, I must dive off. I will speak to you all again soon. Thanks for watching. Happy coding, everyone. Cheers. Bye.